The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 29. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of outstanding women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out amazing blog articles and our killer resources. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey of self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today's guest is, another amazing woman. She used to be, she lives in between Toronto and Costa Rica. So right now she is in Costa Rica. She is an internet entrepreneur. She and her husband have been, on and off on Toronto and Costa Rica for about, I think, 3 years now, but they're living the life that they choose to, right? They're doing the things that they love the most. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Kat Zapanta. And Kat, maybe you want to fill in the blanks a little bit with the listeners in case I missed out on anything?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Sheena. First of all, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you. I mean, Sheena, you have inspired me a lot. It's just amazing to connect with you online. And we're actually coming up because October 2011 is when we really made the decision to change our lives. And then just like 3 months after we started traveling. So it's actually coming up to our 4-year anniversary of becoming online entrepreneurs and kind of going down this path of lifestyle design. And I guess really going for our dreams. So it's been an amazing journey, and I'm actually going to be sharing some things here today, Sheena, that I actually haven't really shared that much. In terms of self-confidence, it was probably something I struggled with the most my whole life, my entire life. And there was things that led up to that decision we made in October 2011 that had already kind of pre-framed me to even be able to make a decision like that. And it had a lot to do with my own self-confidence. So I love what you're doing here.
Thanks, and I'm pretty excited to see what you're sharing. It's amazing that the women that I've interviewed here, they always tell me they've shared things they've never shared anywhere else. So I feel really honored that, the women who I've asked, like you, Kat, are comfortable enough to share it with me and share it to the world, because I know this is something that maybe whoever's listening can benefit from and say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. We probably had similar situations, and I know what's possible for me now after hearing Kat's story. Kat, what is your cultural background?
Well, I was actually born in Poland. And when I was 4 years old, Poland was communist at the time, and so my parents really wanted to get out of the country. So we lived in Germany for a year, and then I moved to Canada with my parents when I was 5, and then that's where I grew up.
Thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Oh, there's so many, Sheena. There's so many things that I've learned along the way. But, I'm actually going to be probably referencing 2 women that I've really been inspired a lot by. One is Rhonda Byrne. She wrote The Secret, so probably a lot of people know her from that. And there's a quote from The Power that she shares: when you fall in love with life, every limitation disappears. I would say that's up there right now.
I like that quote. And I love Rhonda Byrne because, The Secret was the first self-development book that I've ever read. That's when I started learning about the law of attraction and how whatever you think can come to life. And yeah, Rhonda Byrne has been one of the first authors that I actually read on self-development. And so in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
The way I would define it is having that strength inside to be able to value yourself. And never let anyone, most of all yourself, to, put yourself down or devalue your own worth or your own self-esteem. Pretty much holding yourself in high regard, which kind of sets you up and being able to make decisions and really kind of going for the things that you want in life. I don't know if that makes sense, but...
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think as women, we are we do a lot of self-sabotaging, right? I mean, I've done it. We were always like, you're no good. What makes you think people are going to listen to you? What makes you think, people want to listen to what you have to say? And it just goes on and on and on. We start attracting the wrong things. So it's really important, the things we say to ourselves, right? Especially when it comes to believing in ourselves and taking care of ourselves. So yeah, I love that definition. So Kat, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
The way that I grew up was, I'm an only child, and my dad he had this very, very strong entrepreneurial spirit. And while I was growing up, there's a lot of things that I didn't have really much clarity on, I guess, in terms of how it related to me. But I watched my dad growing up kind of struggle in different businesses. He was in construction and he would build houses, and like he was really good at it. But I saw him kind of struggle from business to business, like trying to start his own business. And at the same time, too, I saw him struggle with alcoholism. And then there was a point where my parents got divorced before I became a teenager. And then as a teenager, I just really I kind of dove into like this like cycle of depression, and I don't know, it's like every day was such a heavy day. Like every day I felt like I had all these thoughts in my head that kind of like self-criticism and self-judgment, and I kind of went down my own path of alcoholism and drugs and like self-mutilation even, and just things like that. And it's like my whole like teenage life was kind of like that. And then going into my 20s, and then I struggled with food. Like food became kind of like my addiction. I struggled with weight, and it's just everything kind of underlying all of that was this incredibly, incredibly low self-esteem. Like when I met my husband Romeo, it's like he kind of became the first person to really show me something different, and I started to kind of realize how little I thought of myself. Like I wasn't even aware of it, but that's how I sort of grew up, I guess.
Wow, this is stuff I've never heard before. So, I'm really grateful that you shared all these things, right? Because I'm sure there's someone out there who's going through the same thing, thinking there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And what was like your aha moment when you realized you started believing in yourself? You knew that you were worth, going out there and doing the things that you love, that you believed in, and that, you had the belief to do it.
One of the reasons that and I had to push myself for a while to do this, like you just said, about how we don't think we have a story. But the more that I started to share my story just in recent years, the more I've realized that I can actually help people that are going through it. And I don't believe that you have to kind of hit rock bottom, but I did. It got to the point, and a lot of people actually don't know this. We share a lot about our story that in 2011, we read the 4-Hour Work Week and we made this decision. But there was a lot of things that preceded that there were a lot of things that I personally went through, that Romeo and I went through together in our relationship. And it was about a year and a half before that I had a miscarriage. And we were at this point in our life where, Romeo was working as a fast food manager and he was like never home. I was kind of jumping around from job to job, just trying to figure it out, like how to make our life better. And we had talked about having a family. And so it was kind of like this amazing moment when I became pregnant. And then this thing happened, right? And it completely demolished me. So it's almost like all those years leading up to that, I kind of already felt lost. I already felt pretty low, but it was like the lowest point in my life. And, I always believe that if you kind of have even just the courage to just look around a little bit, there's always going to be something in front of you that can kind of lead you down a path to your next step and your next step and your next step to kind of bring you out of things. And there were certain things that happened at that time in my life that kind of led to us making a decision a year and a half later to really go for it. And, I was working as kind of like in a running store, and I was leading this running clinic, and I met this woman that I sort of found. She was Russian. She was like a trainer, sort of. She worked with, she did Qigong, and she was also a hypnotherapist. And I wanted her to come in as a speaker, and I ended up in her office, and I ended up talking about myself. And it was my first kind of experience in therapy, I guess you could say. And I ended up going to like hypnotherapy sessions with her this is where she really started to kind of show me, I guess, a different way of thinking. And this was actually the moment in my life when I felt for the first time this kind of state of neutrality. Not this like really low, heavy feeling, but this neutral place. It felt like relief. And it was this relief of this new kind of world, kind of like a peephole into it, of stability. And that's when I actually started to meditate. I started to meditate from guided meditations from Abraham and Jerry Hicks. And it's like, that was the beginning for me. And that's actually when I really started to go into personal development. It's when I started to finally understand that everything was kind of an inner work, for how we felt and how our world was kind of, I guess, made, like how our reality was. I started to see that it was from the inside. And there was this one exercise she did. I was thinking a lot about this, Sheena, just leading up to this interview, because it kind of made me made me see like this journey that happened since then. And there was a meditation she did with me where she had me meet my future self. And I spoke to that future self, and the future self that I wanted to see, which, at the time, it's like thinking back, it felt like a world apart. It felt like someone that maybe couldn't even exist. It felt like someone that was, really far over there. But yet, I could meet her. And it was this woman that I wanted to be. She was confident. She was like this businesswoman. She was strong. She was balanced. She was stable. She was happy. And it's like, that was kind of like the first time I met her, in a way. Thinking back, I kind of forgot about this. I forgot about that meditation. And now thinking to where I am now, there was a point where it felt like that woman came here. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I connected with that woman that's always been inside. And I really believe that we all are, powerful and amazing and magnificent inside. And maybe the best analogy that I've kind of developed for this that I've read, I don't even know where I read it, but it's kind of like unwrapping a gift, kind of like unraveling and peeling away all these beliefs that we develop from different reasons, from different places, from childhood, from what people tell us, from what we determine to be true. And it's kind of like unraveling those things to kind of reveal this gift that we all are. And then it kind of allows you to share that gift with other people. And so that's kind of what I've experienced. And it just reminded me of this, Sheena, about how I felt then and how it felt like a world away, this woman. And now how I feel like I'm her. And I'm, of course, still developing. I'm, of course, still, there's still beliefs that I have that I'm facing and letting go, but I feel a world of difference in my day-to-day, and I feel happy. I feel stable. I feel in control of my life, and it's because I've just let go of so many things. So I really wanted to share that. I don't think I've ever shared that.
Yeah, I've never heard you having a miscarriage or even going through all this. And it sometimes, it's funny that, we see things and it's so far-fetched, even making your first $10,000 or something, right? As an example, it just looks so far, but when you hit it, it's not as far as you think, right? It's a lot closer. So, I totally understand what you mean when you said you had that, you saw your future self and you thought at first it was so far, and then when you finally reached it, it wasn't as far as you thought.
Yeah.
So what's your life like now after that discovery?
Well, it's been, in 2011, in October 2011, we made the decision to, we're living in Toronto, and we decided that, we wanted to travel, we wanted to do all these things, and so we just decided to go for it. We sold our stuff, we quit our jobs, and we just kind of went after this dream that we read about in the 4-Hour Work Week and decided to live this like laptop lifestyle. And since then, we've been traveling a lot. We started traveling in Costa Rica, and we just kind of fell in love with it. So we live here. We've traveled all around Costa Rica and like Nicaragua and Panama and the States. And right now I'm sitting in my hammock at our house here. It's like this kind of out in the middle of the country sort of, but like really close to the beach. And we just work on our online business. And, we just actually had our biggest month online. We made like 20K in sales, and it still feels really crazy, right? Like you're saying, like there's still that like feeling, but it's happening. And I've gotten to the point where, because of the things that I've done, like the work that I've done inside, I can accept, and maybe this is something that I was afraid of for many years, I can accept the good things in my life. And I think this is also kind of related to how we can go through like cycles of self-sabotage. And sometimes it's because we can accept things. When things start to happen that are good, I used to have this fear that if something really good happened, something really bad had to happen too. And so it kind of made me afraid if anything good happened. And that's something that I've let go of and kind of realized that, life is life. There will be challenges, but life does get better. And I've seen that continuously happen, that things just keep getting better. I keep feeling better, and our life just keeps being, it's like it keeps opening up to newer and bigger possibilities. So.
Wow, first off, congrats on your biggest month ever. That's amazing, $20,000 in 1 month. To anyone listening to this, of course, the results will vary, but whatever's possible for Kat is possible for anyone who's listening to this. It's true that sometimes when something good happens, we have this notion like this is too good to be true, but we just need to accept the fact that it's happened, and we're worthy of accepting it. We're worthy of receiving that kind of success. So Kat, thanks for sharing that, because I know sometimes we just feel like there's no way, like something else bad has to happen in order for something this good to happen, right? We just can't let go of the fact that it's too good to be true. We just have to learn to accept it. Like we're worthy of receiving, whether it's a $20,000 month or whether it's being able to live in Costa Rica. We are worthy to receive the things in our life that it's good. Kat, to the woman who's listening to this, she's listening to your story. She's pretty much inspired, and she's seen what's possible for her in her own life. What would be that one tip you would give to her when it comes to searching for her own self-confidence?
Looking at the things that I've been through and the things that have really helped me, this is something I guess you could say I'm a little bit obsessed with. I'm obsessed with like breakthrough and transformation and what really helps a person to kind of, just peel away those layers faster to start to feel good and start to feel confident. I would say meditation definitely is something that I would recommend just to start to, and it doesn't matter. I don't really think it matters how you meditate. You can do guided meditation, you can do silent meditation, but see, one thing that I was afraid of for many, many years, and even actually when I got into the personal development world, I became afraid of this and kind of tried to like skip it. And it's that when you start to kind of tap into things, these feelings come up. And they don't necessarily feel good. So if I got angry or if I got sad or whatever it was, I would try to suppress those feelings. And I started to think that when you're involved in any kind of personal development, you should ignore the bad feelings, quote unquote, and should only focus on the good things. And that's what I tried to do. But these other feelings kept coming up. And I realized that the best thing you can do, and this is hard, this can feel very challenging in the moment. But I can tell you as kind of person that's been on the other side of this multiple times, you have to let those feelings bubble up and out of you because they're just going to stay. And what happens is if you don't deal with those feelings, then they're just going to keep coming back. And that's what I kept experiencing. I had anger built up, I had guilt, I had shame, I had all of these things built up in me for so many years. And you don't necessarily have to go through and trudge through your whole past to understand things, because that can take years, right? But it's about allowing those feelings to come out and then letting them out. If you get mad, punch a pillow or scream. Like, I can tell you, I've gone on many walks where I've screamed into the ocean. I know how crazy that sounds. Or even crying. Like, crying is a form of release. It's a way to let out feelings that have to come out, right? And I tried to avoid that. I tried to avoid it. I used to try to pretend that I was feeling another way, but then the feeling will come back again when I experience something that was similar. And these are kind of like patterns. We can get stuck in patterns if we don't, listen to the feeling and then just kind of confront it and kind of feel through it and let it up. And one of the things that I've heard a lot from people, especially when they first start meditation, and I experience this too, is that those bad feelings come up. And then it's almost like meditation becomes associated with something not good, because initially when you quiet yourself, right, you're not busy, you're not trying to like do all this other stuff. When you quiet yourself, that is what comes up. Stuff that you're trying to suppress, things that you're trying to prevent from coming out, but you gotta let it out. Louise Hay is actually the other woman that I kind of mentioned in the beginning, and she talks a lot about affirmations. And there's an audio series I really recommend from her, You Can Heal Your Life. And even she says that when she first started meditation, for the first 3 weeks, she had headaches. And it's like allowing those things to come out that she was trying to avoid. And I think this might be the hardest thing to go through, but at the same time, it's almost like a faster path to just kind of release that stuff. And then from there, you're able to affirm newer beliefs. You're able to affirm better things, beliefs and thoughts that empower you to kind of feel better about yourself. And, affirmations is something too that I didn't necessarily believe in, but I didn't really know what they were. Affirmations are just thoughts, but we run so many thoughts in our head all day that we don't realize it because they're patterns now, they're habits, right? But a habit can be changed, right? And so when you start to affirm something new, what you're doing is consciously choosing something different that is, for your better benefit. And so when I started to do affirmations, what would happen is maybe I would say something that would make me feel bad. Like, it would be a good affirmation, right? Like, let's say I am prosperous, but it would make me feel kind of like, well, this isn't true, right? Immediately. But what happened was that I had to start asking myself, why don't I think this is true, right? Why would I cut myself off from this? Why can't I believe an affirmation like that? And that's when the feelings would start. And then that's when I would kind of release them. And then the more I did the affirmation, the better it would start to feel, until it became true, until I could feel that it was true, and the other belief would kind of fade. And that's how I've kind of learned to deal with things, and how I've been able to let go of a lot of things, like even this belief about if something really good happened, right? And I actually did go through a lot of self-sabotage when we began this journey like 4 years ago. I used to say things like all the time for, we were living in Costa Rica. And I would say things like, I can't believe that this is real. I can't believe that this is happening. And lo and behold, we would go back to Toronto or something, and then I would feel kind of like stuck back in old ways. And it was because I was affirming that I couldn't believe it was true. And I was kind of like saying, you're not worth this, that you don't deserve this. And so I became undeserving of it. And so when I started to realize that if I get those bad feelings, it's okay. Your feelings aren't your enemies. Your thoughts are not your enemies. They're like your guidance kind of pointers. They're the things that will show you, this is your next step. If you keep avoiding it, you're never going to kind of move forward. And your feelings allow you to do that. So if there's some anger or some sadness or something, just confront it and let it kind of work through you. You can journal, you can go to therapy, right? I did that when I first started. You can connect with a community, like, how we're in this community of amazing women and like online entrepreneurs, and we all kind of uplift and help each other. It's part of the journey because we're all kind of releasing things to allow abundance and happiness and, prosperity and joy to come into our lives. So that's kind of where, and I'm so sorry, Sheena. I think I've gone on like a tangent. But I really wanted to share that because it's something that it's like a method that I use that I think can help a lot of people and a lot of women to accept themselves. Because I know that I rejected my feelings and I was therefore rejecting myself because I thought they were bad. And I think that this is kind of a shift because you can let it go, right? You can accept it and it's okay to feel it and then just kind of move on and you get lighter. Like one feeling that I have that's been changing a lot more and more and more is that I get lighter. I feel lighter. I don't feel that heaviness that I used to feel all the time. So I hope that makes sense, Sheena. And sorry again for that long kind of.
Kat, don't worry about it. I'm sure, there's a reason for you to say anything, right? I don't really, there's no big time for me. It's if it helps someone, that's all that matters. And what you said, is stuff that nobody really talks about, right? I mean, I used to be like you. I would bottle up everything, right? And thinking I always had to be positive. And then one of my mentors was like, it's okay if you got mad. It's okay if you're feeling frustrated because you got to let go of these feelings to receive the new stuff into your life, right? Sometimes you got to just let it out. Like you said, if you scream into the ocean, just scream into the ocean. If you have to punch a pillow, because in the end, we're all human. We're not perfect. We're not like, we're not like this perfect person. We're always happy 24/7, right? I mean, we're aware of our negative feelings and our worries and whatnot, but we learn to get over them, release them to start bringing in the new things into our life. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Actually, Kat, to the listeners, they probably want to know a little bit more about you. Is there websites or blogs or any social media profiles we can connect with?
We have a site, catandromeo.com. Find us on our fan page, The Epic Duo. And then we have another blog, puravitadreams.com. But pretty much if you find any of those, you'll find us. We all kind of connect all of our stuff through those channels. So. And actually, I just wanted to add one more thing, Sheena, just off what we were just talking about. The thing is, like, maybe we all kind of want things to kind of be like really immediate and really fast, right? Where we can kind of get over feelings fast. But this process of kind of, accepting these feelings, when you go through them, I find that it happens faster and faster and faster. That, initially maybe it'll take a little while, or I don't know, but be okay with that. But one thing I've seen is that whereas in the past I could sit in a feeling for like months. The same feeling I could sit in for months. But now if I get upset or feel sad or whatever, it actually passes very quickly because I can kind of let it out. I let it kind of release, and then I kind of come back to this like more neutral state that I've been able to find through like meditation and audios and things like that. And so my attitude has changed a lot because of that. So it's like being able to kind of shift things into a more positive by kind of going through those feelings, and then it gets easier and easier and easier, right? So I just wanted to let people know that it's like anything. It's like you kind of get better at it, like you get stronger at it, and you will see yourself kind of improve and evolve through it. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And, that goes with anything in life, right? If you start something new, it's going to take a while, but the more you do it, it's going to get easier and easier, right? You just have to get over that hurdle. And once you step over or get over that hurdle, it'll be like smooth sailing. Well, not smooth sailing, but it'll be a lot quicker, a lot simpler for you. So thanks for sharing that, Kat. And to the listeners out there, if you wanted Kat's, contact information, her websites, just head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Kat's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about today. And I really just want to thank Kat for taking the time to share her story and to share, the fact that she shared a lot of things that she never told anybody. I'm truly grateful for that. So Kat, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheena. I'm grateful to be here and honored to be here with you. So thank you.
Awesome. And, we would love to have you back anytime. So, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. I would love that.
And to the listeners out there, okay, listeners, be ready for another new episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I get to interview another amazing woman on her journey to self-confidence. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for connecting with us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more.